Alright guys, welcome to the BlinkCast Podcast, and today we have a really special episode. But before we start off, let's introduce ourselves. So today we have a really big group. Today we have
Christian,
Chris,
me, Christian,
Chris, Reed,
and Mustafa.
you can tell we have a theme going.
pretty much. So today we are recording, as you might be hearing on the audio, we're recording in an auditorium because today the DSU Game Design Club set up a gaming workshop. So we actually have Chris here today, who basically helped organize most of it, I'm pretty sure. So how about you tell us about what was going down today? So basically, what happened today? So.
Well, pretty much we just wanted to have some workshops that anybody could go to, so it's introductory workshops, some of them, and some of them were some more advanced workshops that people could experience what it's kind of like to make games or certain aspects of games. So we organized some different programs, and it's taught by students that have experience in various fields.
Okay, so basically, I saw the schedule, and so you started off this morning at 10 a.m. I think, and you had I had a schedule. So you had a workshop for the Unity engine, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
What else? Did you have Game Maker maybe?
Yes,
yeah,
I
we
did
had
that.
Unity engine, and there was a Game Maker engine that we did. There's also some Torque 2D, which is another game engine, and we used some 3ds Max demos, and there was also some Maya demos.
Nice.
All right, yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
So it's not just programming; you're also going into the art side of it too.
Right, yeah, we tried to incorporate multiple facets. And there's also speed painting. So
Yeah.
there's some
I've actually not heard of that.
illustration.
And there was a workshop on Q&A.
Yes, Q&A, which is very important in games and pretty much everything.
Yep.
So.
What exactly is Q&A?
QA is, in this sense, is quality assurance. So you're making sure that everything is working kind of the way it's intended, whether it be, like, is the game fun, or does it function properly? Like, if you press the jump button, does it actually jump?
So test playing in a way.
Right,
Yeah,
play
but
testing.
obviously
yeah.
it's just
Attempting
nice.
to break the game in every way possible.
Pretty much.
Break the game.
Oh, so everything that we do with Microsoft basically is Q&A.
Yeah, everyone who uses Windows is a QA member.
Good news, guys.
All right, every time when you
you
send
should
the
all be paid.
error report back is basically part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple of days ago we had the April Fool's, what was it called, the Game Fair?
All Fool's Day Game Fair.
Yeah, that was also set up by the Game Design Club, and that was kind of different. It wasn't really a workshop. It was more I think the upperclassmen showing off their game projects, right?
Yeah, pretty much that one was, we just recognize excellence in game design, whether it be personal projects or the projects courses or anything else relating to game design.
I wasn't participating, but I stopped by and I checked it out. So basically, a lot of people were just showing off their games. It wasn't a TC Underground, and they just set up, some projectors, and people were there showing their games to people, and it was pretty cool. I was surprised. This one guy had a game on his DS, and he made it all by himself, and it was really cool actually. And obviously we know we talked about the other games before, Fury Void, Arcania, I think, or
Arcana.
Arcana.
Yeah.
Arcana, and all those games where the senior groups are working on. And I'm pretty sure some of the seniors actually had some of those workshops today, right?
Yep.
I think Jimmy actually was doing the
Q&A presentation.
and then some other people also. Are you a senior by now? Or?
Nope. I am still sophomore.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So what else did you guys do today? So you had obviously the workshops, but right now we just it's still going on, the entire thing, but we kind of had a break. So what's going on after we're done here, basically?
We were thinking about doing a short mini game jam. So we have this game theme topic, which is 2 words, I guess, tonight, and it's both focus and, I believe,
Scope.
Yeah, really
That's the
interesting, actually.
And we were actually here when they announced the theme, and another part of the theme actually was don't use the obvious, or
Yep.
don't be too obvious. So obviously, for a lot of people, when you read focus and scope, obviously you can, personally, I imagine immediately the hold the space bar to hold your breath. That's good. When you right-click with a sniper rifle, and it's always click this and this to hold your breath.
My first thought was like a giant game like Fallout, and then you just zoom in.
Actually, that's kind of what I thought.
All right, yeah. So basically, this is gonna work like Global Game Jam work, just in a really smaller version. So we all talked about Global Game Jam on our very first episode because this is where this group basically originated from. basically, there's not a lot of students here, but they're gonna go into groups right now and basically start working on their game ideas. And right now, I think they're brainstorming at this point, probably.
Yeah.
And finding each other, building groups, and organizing that. So maybe at the end of the show, we might get someone in from an actual group, and they can tell about what they did already. And I'm pretty sure they were using some of the knowledge they learned today from the workshops.
Yeah.
So
4 hours is quite the small time period. What kind of games are you expecting out of this?
I'm not really expecting huge, fleshed out concepts. Maybe like just a really in-depth game concept, possibly. Maybe a couple quick sketches, concept art, possibly.
So or maybe like a single mechanic type game.
Yeah, or mechanic, possibly.
It's like an I Spy kind of a game.
Well, it wouldn't even probably be a complete game, but
yeah,
like an idea.
Concept, an idea.
And then because now I know how those engines work, they could explain how they would use those engines to make the game work. So they plan out what they would do if they had more time.
So it's more based on the theory rather than the actual application of it.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. All right. So before we came here and set up our equipment, I talked to you a little bit, and you showed me that you were doing like a pencil drawing thing. What was that all about?
I was with Landon Anchor. He was teaching a workshop on UV mapping and integrating that in Unity, which is a game engine. And it was kind of cool. So you take this 3D model and then you essentially unwrap it so that you can put textures on it, and you can paint textures in Photoshop, for example.
It's kind of like folding apart a dice into 7 squares.
Yeah, it's like if you...
Yeah, 6 squares.
Yeah, it's like if you printed out a dice thing that you're supposed to fold into a 3D object.
And then you fold it back. All right, that seems pretty cool. I mean, I read that once in a book because my uncle does that kind of stuff. Nice. And it gets pretty intense when you have like a character model that has like a lot of polygons, when it's like 10,000 polygons, and you fold this back, you have this really weird looking type of picture, and you have to color it. So it can get quite complicated. So it's really cool that you guys did that with the workshops and whatnot.
Does Unity support HDR at all? Do you know if they have to put that into the texture map?
I am not quite sure if it does or not.
Probably with the plugin, is my guess.
Yeah, probably with plugins. It does support a lot of things, a lot of features, but I'm not quite sure exactly what features like that it would have or not.
All right. So do you think this kind of event will happen again? I mean, obviously, it was on the weekend, and it's pretty nice weather outside, so probably not a lot of people want to spend their entire day in a room like that. But, I really like the idea, and I think a lot of people do. Do you think this kind of event will happen again? You have like a day where people offer workshops?
Yeah, I think we're planning on hopefully maybe trying to do this again. We'll get some feedback and change it up a little bit, maybe refine our ideas, and probably do it maybe in the spring and maybe the fall again, possibly, or at least the spring, because that's opposite of the game jam. Maybe it's a better idea that way, and it can introduce new students to game design. Yeah,
definitely. That was actually one big deal about the game jam itself, because when we were there, we were all freshmen, so the only thing we knew was a week of Game Maker. So I can really see that if you would have like something that you had today, where you introduce people that never used to program before to a new game engine, that can actually be really helpful, especially when you actually want to work on a game for an entire weekend. So I was planning on being here. I just couldn't make it due to time management and everything. But I will definitely try to be at the next day, and I think a lot of us actually would.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to get together and make something again.
Yeah, definitely it sounds interesting. It's a nice idea, and yeah, definitely looking forward to it. The event was shared on Facebook, I'm pretty sure, and definitely will be next time. So if you guys want to check it out, we're definitely going to put a link to all the things that were going on today in the description under the video. You guys had some pre-recorded things. For example, you had a list on the Facebook group where you can download the software so you can participate in the workshops.
Yeah.
And obviously, Autodesk is a company that provides a lot of things. You can get Sketchbook Designer, I think, and 3ds Max, which is a modeling program, and you can get software licenses if you're a student. So that's definitely something to take advantage of if you're into that.
And it's really nice nowadays that you find so many engines that are just releasing the basic development kit. Unity, Unreal does that now.
Even CryEngine.
Yeah, CryEngine. I think that one was pretty recent, wasn't it? Just within the last year here.
Pretty recent.
Yeah.
CryEngine 3.
They were part of the Big Global Game Jam, where they were part of the sponsorship. I'm
They
pretty
were
sure.
one of the sponsors. Yeah.
And then of course, Game Maker's always been that way. So.
Yeah, so this has been really cool. Obviously we missed most of what was going on today, and later on we're going to have Jeff Howard stopping by, and we're going to interview him too. So would you like to tell anything to people listening, or some more info about what's going to be happening next time? Are you going to do something differently, or is it going to be the same type of thing? Or
Yeah, I think we'll kind of keep it the same kind of structure maybe, but I think definitely if you're interested in any sort of game design aspects, whether it be art techniques or just general information about how to work an engine or something, you should come check it out next time.
All right, so this entire thing has been set up by the Game Design Club, and those guys meet at the Regions Room in the TC every Tuesday from
7 to 9.
7 to 9. So if you guys are interested and want to check it out, obviously it's free, like most activities on campus. You could just stop by anytime, stop by, check it out, and if you're interested, be part of it. It's always nice to be involved. Obviously, today wasn't that much of an input, but the idea itself actually is probably going to spread. I mean, people are going to talk about that, and I mean, what's better than a free workshop,
Yeah, and we had cookies.
Yeah, obviously there was free
So this
cookies.
must be the dark side.
Wait. We had free cookies?
Yep.
I didn't see that.
When did we have cookies?
They were.
I ate them.
Yeah, it was,
I'm pretty sure.
You
All
know,
right,
crashing the parties.
yeah, thanks Chris for stopping by, and we appreciate that. We're going to talk about some more off topics, I guess, until we have our second guest stopping by. And
Right.
yeah,
So,
we
thanks for
appreciate
coming on.
you being here, and yeah.
All right, thanks for having me.
We'll be right back.
All right, guys, welcome back to BlinkCast Podcast. We have our next special guest here, Professor Howard. He's teaching several game design classes here on DSU. And Dr. Howard, so how are you involved today?
Sure. Well, I did the first workshop of the morning at 10 a.m. I did the introduction to Unity. And Unity is a 3D game engine. It's for free. You can get it on the internet just from www.unity3d.com. And so what I did is I just kind of kicked things off, and the way I looked at today is that it was kind of like passing a baton. It was like a relay race where we're passing a baton between all the people who ran the workshops. So the idea was that I sort of started off with the baton by saying, okay, here's this engine, Unity 3D, and here's the basics of how a project is set up, and there are scenes inside of a project, which are like the levels, and every scene is comprised of objects. Objects have components attached to them. And I was like, okay, let's just make a really basic scene. Let's put a floor down, and let's put some cubes down, and let's put a first-person controller in there so you can run around in first-person view, and let's see how easily we can import assets into Unity, which is one of the coolest things about that engine. So we just grabbed some textures and imported them and applied them to some of the objects in the scene. And I basically had 40 minutes. So after you subtracted the 10 minutes that it took to get everything set up at the beginning, we had to do internet activation for all the copies of Unity. I was like, oh my gosh, well we're now done with my allotted time. But that was fine because in the end that was about all I'd intended to do for the intro to Unity. Because how it worked is that Cody Putzier, who some of you might know as Putz, is an incredible programmer, and later on in the day, he did a programming in Unity tutorial, picking up where I left off, and that was kind of the way I planned it. So he started off with a scene that had a floor and some cubes and a first-person controller, all the stuff that we'd done. He was like, okay, now here's how you use scripting in JavaScript to program some of the behaviors associated with these cubes and these primitive objects. So let's make one of these objects into an enemy that follows you around, and then let's show how you could make a simple bullets out of spheres that you would fire at the enemy and do damage to them, and that kind of stuff. So that was kind of a baton pass that went on. And then, but there were lots of other batons that were passed. There was so many students volunteered their time today, gave 40 minutes to an hour to do these awesome presentations, and I didn't get to be at them. I had to go home and grade for most of the day. I'd stuck to grade.
Boy.
The curse of a professor. Work is never done. But Chris, did you get to be at some of them?
I was actually I was over at exactly almost every single one of the time slots. Intro to Unity, Game Maker, then Cody Pass, and then learning UV with
Land and Anchor.
Yep.
And then Lacey Barton did some a speed painting demonstration. And going along with what Chris said, Jer Hall did the Game Maker presentation out in the auditorium. Game Maker is more of a 2D engine, and it's really good for making kind of simple arcade-style games especially. You can do 3D in it, but 3D kind of drags. So they did that. And then Shelby Hieronymus did a demo of GIMP and MyPaint, which are free 2D image editing programs. And so that's a situation where we didn't get to structure it so it would work this way, but there could have been a baton pass there, sort of, because, you could go into GIMP and use the knowledge that Shelby gave you to make your own custom textures, which you could then import to Unity. The same thing with Landon. Like when you UV map, you take a 3D model and you unwrap it, almost like, I always think of it as like a deer skin, like when you're hunting and you cut the skin off the deer and then you spread it out flat. That's what UV mapping is. It's just spreading out the skin of a 3D object flat. So Landon taught that, and taught how to do a simple painting of a texture on there, which picks up directly from where Shelby was coming from. So I think one of the things that I would want people to get from a workshop like this, from these 40-minute sessions that we had today, is kind of the realization. It's almost like the Matrix when Morpheus talks about take this pill and realize just how deep down the rabbit hole goes. I think people realize when they do a 40-minute, workshop on Unity, or even Colin Gosmeyer did a 40-minute workshop on Maya, which is its own 3D modeling program like 3ds Max, just as complex, used in some different situations. And, I was talking to Colin, and he was like, how am I going to talk about this program in 40 minutes? And I basically said, well, Colin, what you're going to do is tell people what's interesting about it, have them make something simple, but ultimately you're sort of going to have to tell them that to really get good at Maya, I mean, that could take several years. And in fact, that's how Colin learned it, is he spent several years teaching himself Maya, And the same thing goes with Unity. Unity's really user-friendly, but the rabbit hole goes deep. And to master it takes a lot more than 40 minutes, We have... one of the reasons like Landon's gotten so good at UV mapping and bringing those UV maps into Unity is that he's a junior in the year-long projects courses. So he's gotten to work with Unity for a full year on a game that I'm leading, the Arcana game, and lots of them who were giving workshops today were juniors and seniors. The students were juniors and seniors who've had the opportunity to work for a full semester or a full year or multiple years with these tools. And so, I think that what you can get from a one-day workshop is kind of a glimpse into how things work. And then the realization that to really get good with those tools, you'd have to, try to make mini games with them, go through many iterations and invest a lot of time and energy in there. So anyway, it was really cool to give people a glimpse into the tools and the processes, but in the end, I think that in one day, it pretty much is a glimpse, and it's the invitation. You can take the red pill or the blue pill. Right?
Pretty much.
Right.
We were talking with Chris about that this type of event might even happen again.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the thought of it is pretty interesting. I mean, most of us are actually we're not here today, but we're interested a lot in it. We were thinking that maybe next year when the Global Game Jam is happening again, we would have an event like this, maybe like a week in advance.
Oh, yeah.
And that would
People
be
can use
really
the
good to
skills.
introduce, especially new students, because we were, this group actually originated, you might not know this, but we originated from the Global Game Jam.
Oh, wow.
We were the BlinkCast, and we just had this idea of making a podcast type of deal. So
Cool.
We're definitely going to be at the Game Jam next year, but one problem that we had when we're at the Global Game Jam, we barely knew a Game Maker, and that was the only thing we actually knew. So, I mean, Chris
I
is
knew.
here,
I have 8 years experience in it.
With Game Maker.
but that's, a special case, obviously. A lot of freshmen usually, they know that those programs exist, but they are missing that introduction that exactly happened today. So
Right.
we were thinking that if we, tell people what happened today and what they kind of missed out on, and that will be next time kind of a bigger event, and maybe have multiple workshops going on so people can choose where they want to go to instead of, one at a time. So that's kind of our goal today here. That's why we have a special guest here and talk about this event. So So thank you for stopping by and spending your time here explaining some of the things to us. If you want to say anything else to the people listening about what's going on today, or anything you want to add.
Well, sure. So thanks for listening. That's really cool. And the other thing I was going to say is that I think we definitely would like to have more workshops like this before Global Game Jam is a great idea, and maybe multiple times. Ideally maybe kind of early in a semester, because toward the end of the semester everybody's exhausted and has things.
Finals coming up and all that.
Yeah.
And you hear a giant sigh.
Yeah, so it's a little harder to get people to be able to spend a lot of time on it. But yeah, we would love to have more workshops, and the thing there is that we could have workshops on pretty much anything that somebody's willing to volunteer to do, because the beauty of these kind of events is at the end of the day they're student driven. They're driven by students who are willing to come in and say, hey, I know something about this and I'd like to present on it.
And even the event itself was organized by Chris Public, who was here before, and I mean he just told us he's a sophomore. So, yeah, he's been here for.
What was your guys' ultimate goal with this then? Was it just basically basic learning of each engine, or?
Well, I think it's good to get introduced to a set of tools, but I mean, I think I'd like people to see kind of the overall pipeline that's involved in game development. Just the idea that there are so many different moments of communication that have to happen between different team members.
So more of the team interaction side's what you're aiming for?
I think it's definitely part of it. We talk about our program that the goal of it is integrated design, and that's the notion that all parts of the game come together to reinforce the core experience. So if the game is supposed to be scary, then the audio and the interface and the mechanics and the narrative should all contribute to that. So integrated design is always sort of the goal, but to get people there, they need some mastery of the tools, some introduction to the tools that make that happen.
Kind of like how those of us in the game design degree know that we have to take a little bit of everything, no matter what we're specializing in.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly right. The structure of the workshop is very similar to the structure of the curriculum. It's built around that interdisciplinary communication, where artists learn what programmers do and programmers learn what artists do, and in the end that lets everybody be able to communicate more effectively with each other. So, yeah.
All right, so thank you very much for being here and being part of the podcast. Like we said before, I mean, this entire event was set up by the Game Design Club, and we already said when they were meeting. So that's basically it. So thank you guys for stopping by. We'll be right back with some off-topic news. Thank you, Jeff Howard, for being part of this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
good having you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, guys, and welcome back to the last segment here on the BlinkCast Podcast. So we just had two special guests talking about the game design workshop that was going on today in a TCB here at Dakota State University campus. But obviously that was a pretty big part of my topic here. So let's go back to the regular show. Let's see, Chris, what do you have today?
Well, this HVZ has started again, actually. Their 2-week-long game for the spring semester, and it is freaking insane. There are so many freaking zombies, it's not even funny.
Yep. Little tip right here. Humans don't go outside without a dart, or at the very least, a sock. You're going to get
turned. I was going to say, or in Chris's case, a hat.
Yeah, I've actually learned that pretty much hats could be viable weapons to use in this game.
Especially if you're that guy from Mortal Kombat with the razor hat.
That might be a little overkill.
What's the little Chinese guy from the James Bond game where you can just odd job? Is he not the guy?
Oh, yeah.
He just throws his fedora and it's has like a razor blade in it.
Yeah.
All right, so HVZ obviously going on.
Deadliest old.
I mean, it's supposed to be a 2-week game, but from what I've heard so far, I mean, I'm still a human. I know, Reed, you are. Chris, you got turned back.
Yep, I'm a human still.
Chris, what about you? Are you still?
I am still a zombie. I've been zombie ever since the beginning of this game.
Yeah. And I'm antisocial, so I'm not in it.
All right, so yeah, Christian is obviously not participating, but that's because it is off campus. So anyway, it's the 4th day in the game right now, if I'm correct.
According to
way over.
I was going to say, according to Chris's
daily almost
law.
a half of the players are now zombies.
Is it a half by now?
It was a half on the first night.
Well, it was 1/3
was more than
by
five.
the
This
first
is usually
night.
the point in the movie where the helicopter flies in.
Exactly. I'm waiting for that to happen because I don't exactly want to get turned.
And then it turns out that they're against both the humans and the zombies.
And they nuke everyone.
All right. Okay, that was
It was a nice part.
Anyway, so Reed, what do you got today?
Well, basically me and Mustafa want to talk about video game adaptations from either movies, like video games that come from movies, and video games that go to movies.
And television shows.
Yep. And all I'm thinking about right now is the God of War movie that's going to come out here pretty
Just
soon.
having a God of War movie.
They're
I have
making a
not
God
heard of that.
They're even making an Assassin's Creed movie.
Yep.
I've heard about that.
I've also heard that they're going to make an Assassin's Creed TV show, something like that.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure about
Then
that.
again, they
Like,
also said they were making a Mass Effect movie and a Halo movie, and neither of those have come.
They
to
did
term.
make
and
a
a World of
Halo-
Warcraft movie.
Well, let's think about this for 5 seconds. Video games don't exactly turn into great movies. It takes
Yeah.
dozens to hundreds of hours to beat a video game. A movie lasts between 2 and 3. How are you going to shorten that?
And that's a
down?
pretty long movie, between 2 and 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with Mass Effect. And what's the worst part is the Mass Effect movie is Mass Effect 4.
Seriously?
yes.
Seriously, it is Mass Effect 4. I
think-
have looked it up.
And certain movies wouldn't translate well into games, and I think Mass Effect's a prime example of that, specifically because of the different choices
Or
you
if
can
you-
make in Mass Effect. That'd
Exactly.
mean
It would defeat the point of Mass
that
Effect.
would mean they'd have to determine a quote-unquote canon storyline of Mass Effect, and that would upset a lot of people to know
Yeah.
that they have a storyline in mind.
What I actually know, I don't know if you guys remember, there was already an Assassin's Creed series made for Assassin's Creed 2. It basically was about Ezio's father when he was an assassin. I think
It was a short film.
it was a 6 short episodes.
Yeah.
Was it
It
kind
was-
of like
it wasn't-
this Halo series they had for when
Like Halo Legends.
Oh my
Halo
god, I
Legends.
remember that.
It wasn't
Halo
like that
Legends
much
was
of
awesome.
high production quality, but it was like officially made by the people who
By
are.
Ubisoft, and yeah, the voice actors for the characters in game, they played the parts in the live
That's pretty
action
neat, actually.
series, mini
So
series.
basically, I think it was called Assassin's Creed Bloodlines or Revelation.
I think it was Legacy. No,
It was
probably
Lineage.
Legacy.
Lineage.
because-
Lineage.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
I
you
know,
go.
and
Lineage.
they've done several things like that before. Dead Space had a short. It was animated, but they had a
Dead
short.
Space
film.
has 2 animated movies. It's
Is
called
there
Dead
2?
Space. Well, I think it's Dead Space, and the second one's called Dead Space Aftermath.
I've only seen the one that takes place in between the first and second Mass Effect games.
I think the first Dead Space, it's actually on Netflix. I watched it quite
Yeah, that's where I
recently.
watched
It
it.
plays before the main. Like it plays on the ship that you go to check on in the first Dead
Because
Space.
the one I saw actually takes place in between 1 and 2. 'Cause
I have
some of the
not seen-
characters
yeah.
from this movie are actually in 2, and it explains their backstory.
I don't
All
know
right.
what you're talking about.
So, but other than that, I mean, I know there was a hate. I mean, there's a lot of
Definitely talk.
game.
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to show here is, I mean, on YouTube you find a lot of videos and shorts about games, but they're not made by official people. I
No.
mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of Halo, fan-made
generally
things.
well,
they're parodies.
there's a pretty good Halo.
But there's a lot of
official.
machinima things.
Yeah,
like,
oh,
the
a lot of
Claptrap,
machinima.
Yeah, but once again, they're generally parody. They're not serious.
Yeah, and
movies.
they're not. They don't have like a storyline. It's usually. I mean, I know there was a Mass Effect one that was like 10 minutes long, but it wasn't about a storyline. It was just like a small scenario. It was the shepherd trying to get just a bag, and it was just showing off all the props they had. So it was about the fighting style was pretty much it. The camera angles were making it look like a third-person shooter with the actors acting out all the grenades and different kind of abilities. But it didn't really have a storyline to it. So you see those a lot. I mean, there's a lot of Skyrim shorts out there. I mean, most of you guys probably saw the How I Play Skyrim video, where the guy runs around and he slashes someone in the face and he like pauses the game and slowly picks out what he wants from the inventory. Then he continues the game. You have parodies like that, but I think what you guys are talking about is official movies.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like I know they made one on Hitman, which I saw, which had nothing to do with Hitman whatsoever.
Oh yeah, I saw that one too. Actually,
And there
But it
was-
wasn't a bad movie. It's that it had nothing to do with Hitman.
Well, yeah, there's
I
a lot of
actually-
movies made by Uwe Boll. I don't know if you've heard about him. He makes it his life's goal to make good, notice the air quote, good movies around video games.
But once again, it wasn't a bad movie. It just
He didn't
stay
make the Hitman movie, though. He
It-
made Postal, and he made Alone in the Dark. None of which had anything to do with the video games.
Do not remind me of Alone in the Dark.
Yes, that movie. Just that movie.
So, can any of you name an example of a really good video game movie?
Totally Super Mario Brothers.
That's a good.
It's a mushroom Mario. I think it's talking to me.
Also, I remember there was one about it was Tekken or Street Fighter, one of those.
Oh, and
it
Mortal
was Street
Kombat.
Fighter.
Mortal Kombat actually had
Mortal
some good
Kombat, the
movies.
first movie was good. The second one was just a rushed production massacre thing.
Yeah, that's because people wanted it so much.
They wanted it so much, they rushed it into production. They reused so much from the original Mortal Kombat movie. It just felt bland.
I do remember the Tomb Raider movies, though.
Yeah, the one with Angelina Jolie.
I'm not sure. I mean,
They did decently.
There's a big hype about the newest game because I heard. I mean, it's getting good reviews.
The latest Tomb Raider, yeah.
And I heard rumors about making a movie, but obviously, there's always rumors about games that are more or less realistic. I mean, as long as there's no big alien ships involved, and if it's just about
Tomb Raider, you never know.
well. Yeah, but I'm saying
Seen
it's
at least
about
one
one
spaceship
woman,
somewhere.
solving puzzles. So that's more of a realistic scenario. So there's always going to be rumors about someone
And
making a movie.
obviously,
about that.
Tomb Raider's filled with a lot of filler, like solving puzzles, which is something that she wouldn't probably be doing in the movies. They could focus a lot more on the actual action scenes that take place in
Well,
between
in
these
the
puzzles.
movies, they did have her solve a few puzzles, but they were all action.
You got to show that she can do
yeah.
it, but that's not what the whole
No,
movie's going to be
no,
about.
Right.
Exactly. So
Well, I know one thing that made a good transition from a movie live action media to a video game media is The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
well,
Telltale did a
Telltale's-
fantastic.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to say because the Walking Dead Survival Instincts has been
But-
a great
Not
idea, but
Survival Instincts. Survival Instincts just was
Yeah, that
awful.
was terrible.
terrible.
We're talking
AI.
about the Telltale point-and-click
Telltale.
adventure game.
Then again, that one wasn't made on the TV series.
No,
That
it was
made
based on the comic books.
Yeah, it was based on the graphic
And it
novels,
didn't-
which is what the TV series
Yeah,
is
and the
based
good
on.
and what they did was they didn't follow the storyline of the comics or the TV series. They had their
made
own.
their own.
Yeah, that's how you actually make a good video game based around a movie. You know, don't follow the
It gives
plot, but gives
It gives you
Use the
less
characters.
constraints,
Yeah.
but on the same time, it's a double-edged sword because then there's going to be a lot of people out there who are saying, oh, this doesn't follow the video game.
Exactly.
Right. There's
So
always gonna
don't
be
even
people
try
disagree.
following the main storyline. What you do is maybe set the video game in the same setting as the movie or the movie or whatever you want, but don't follow the main storyline.
Well, then again, doesn't that contradict what was happening earlier when you said that, the Mass Effect movie is going to be Mass Effect 4, and you all seemed pretty upset about that.
Actually, that's a kind of like it's not actually following the plot of Mass Effect 1, 2, or 3 directly. It's a sequel. Sequel can be open-ended.
Yeah.
We never know what happened in the past.
Well, that's the thing.
As long as they don't follow the game exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I liked what they did with Tron Legacy. Have you ever played that the video game for that?
I watched the movie, and I was
No, I haven't
actually
played the video game.
I saw the video game, and I can think. I mean, if you know the movie we're talking about, Tron Legacy is a new one from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
from
can
Disney,
very
It is
easily
from
see
Disney.
that made into a good game. It is basically a
No,
movie
no.
about a game.
What they did was they actually made it a prequel to the movie, so you could buy the video game, you could play through it, and it gave you the backstory to the movie itself.
Exactly, that's
So-
what I was saying. Like a video games, they don't have to follow the exact plot of the story. They can take place at a separate time frame related to the story, related to their game, but not exactly follow the movie. You know.
Exactly.
What do you guys think about? It's a current topic we're talking about in game class. Transmedia. A good example of this would be the recent Defiance game that came out. Apparently, the Defiance is an MMO, and it's actually going to have a real effect on the TV show. They're making a TV show, the Sci-Fi Channel is, and they're making a video game, and the two are actually going to be connected in some way with each other. They're going to change each other based
the
on what
plot
happens.
points of the TV series will follow happenings in the game, which is pretty cool actually.
The question is it going to be a free MMO?
It's already out. It's
Well, it's a game, basically a $60 game. I'm guessing.
Yep,
Defiance
they
is-
follow the buy-to-play method. You pay,
Which is a lot better than
You pay $60
Yeah.
and then that's it. You're done.
That's it.
And then they have
I saw the game, but I did
microtransactions.
not know the connection to the TV series. That sounds like a very good idea to me. I mean, it's interesting. It's nothing new. I don't think we had that before.
I haven't seen it before, to be honest.
No, we
So-
haven't.
Not that level of connection.
I can see that being a really interesting thing. I mean, it's obviously a great reason to buy the game. I mean, if you are playing the game, you're part of a TV series. I mean, that's obviously something that's really cool. That's what I
Yeah.
thought right when you said that.
And Defiance would also have a direct connectivity with players who play EVE Online. Even
oh
if,
my
yeah.
goodness. And then that means that the people that play Dust 514, they also affect the EVE universe because they're the troops fighting for each planet.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's actually see that kind of connection. I think has a big
Oh, right. It
has
was
a big
just-
place
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the industry.
I am still working on realizing what we were just talking about. So you're saying that there's a video game that affects EVE Online, and then EVE Online affects
Okay,
No, there's several
this-
video games
there's-
that affect EVE Online.
There's this
Yeah.
one video game. It's called Dust 514. It's a PlayStation 3 free-to-play
It's,
MMO. It's kind of, sort of MMO-ish. Okay, I'm not gonna.
We're not going down that road.
Yeah.
We're not going down
We already
that
had
road.
that argument.
But basically, it's people from the PlayStation Network. They can play the game, and it's them shooting each other on the planets for EVE Online. So certain factions decide, okay, we're gonna assault this planet, and then they're like, okay, that's where your mission's gonna be today, guys. We're gonna send all the people that want to play onto this planet, and then each side with the factions, they'll use their ships and they'll send in like aerial support and stuff like that for the ground troops. But the ground troops will be the ones that fight for the
So,
planet.
could you have a friend who plays that game while you play EVE, and then you say, "Hey, man, I know you're great at fighting. You want to get down there and help me out with this?"
Yeah.
you could
Exactly.
actually place your friend in that situation.
Yeah, you could.
And since
See,
it's
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And since it's cross-platform, what will be happen is you can even play with. You can be a PlayStation player and still play with a person who plays.
Does
on
it
the-
actually work cross-platform?
I'm not
It's
exactly
because
sure.
EVE
I haven't-
Online is a PC game.
I haven't looked at it completely, but I know that it's the people that play the Dust 14 that actually changed the world for EVE.
Yeah, and EVE is a PC game, so
Yep, it's an MMO.
it's an MMO. So yeah, you can play with your PC gaming pals, and they'll have an effect on your gameplay. Cross-platform.
Cross-platform is something that we don't see a lot of, especially
No.
with
A console to a PC.
yeah.
Well, unless it's not Kingdom Hearts.
the PS3, Sony's becoming more and more involved in this cross-platform because they kind of fell behind and they're really trying to catch up with their next generation console.
But some of the cross-platforms ideas are amazing. Like you can take Portal 2 and you can play it on the PS3, and then you can play with your friends on Steam on their PC.
Yeah, well, that's because PS3 actually has Steam on it.
Now they do. They had
Yeah.
to make it accessible.
Well, to be honest, if Microsoft keeps up their current business model, and if the rumors around the Xbox 720 prove true, I think Sony wouldn't have too much of a trouble owning the market.
Well, the problem is that currently the Xbox 360 is like the
Yeah.
biggest one out there.
Yeah,
it might not
but-
be the most commercially successful, because somehow the Wii has that title, but it is the most
Biggest online
the core
community.
gamers. It's the one that they usually
But
target.
the problem is the rumors are around that they'll make live. You have to have live connectivity to play games. Like right now, I can
What?
move my Xbox around.
There's
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
what
of
they're doing.
there's more than one source for this. It's still just a rumor because Microsoft hasn't
yeah,
officially
but
announced.
it's kind of it's officially hinted.
But they,
'cause
they've
from
had
the
like
Twitter,
from Twitter posts
from Twitter post of the Microsoft's community director who was pretty
saying that
snobby
he
about
believes in always online.
Yeah, there's a-
and that's the world we live in. People just need to get used to it.
it.
Basically.
Yeah, apparently the world we live in includes only very posh areas in America.
Oddly enough, the BioWare, I believe it was, their creative director
Yeah,
took a
the
defense
BioWare.
against it, which is funny because their producer's EA, who's the one who has the most recent always on.
Well, EA is trying to improve themselves. If they sacked their CEO,
Well, that's because they
They
kind of
got-
failed.
they're in the
Yeah.
semifinals of the worst company
Yeah.
right now.
Well, I know they won Worst Company 2012. So
Yeah, and now they're in the semifinals. They might just win it again in 2013.
here's hoping that whoever steps in, I'm really worried about that. Whoever's going to step in as the CEO, I'm worried that they're going to just be worse.
I think you guys mentioned tweets about the Xbox being live. I think I saw that conversation. It kind of went like this. So I'm not sure if it was actually someone from Microsoft, but someone posted.
that person
it's
is
their
from
creative
Microsoft.
director.
It's his
well,
official
it was
Twitter
basically like, why are so many people complaining? Everything is already, DRM,
Online.
basically.
Everything is already online.
And then someone posted, well, that's because you live in places like,
Yeah.
LA and New York, where there's always internet connection. Try living in, like, a small town in, South Dakota, like right here. And then it's like, well, why the hell would I live there? So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you kind of see their
it
mindset.
seems like, and I mean, they deleted that post like immediately as soon as Microsoft found
then
that they
again,
got
it's
rid of
the
it.
internet, so
But it's the internet. That photo's already out there. People have snapped pictures of it, and it's everywhere now.
And that guy's not pretending that he was just trolling, but
That's not trolling.
that's
That,
not
I mean,
trolling.
There's a certain time and place for trolling.
It's
Or,
not on
I
your
mean,
official
you can see
Twitter
how
page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see how money affects the things because they're not making games anymore; they're making a business.
Yeah.
And
games are
on
becoming
one
more
side,
of a service
they're
platform,
saying
too.
we don't need single player games anymore. It's the social aspect of games that is what make games. That's why we only have multiplayer campaigns in the future. That's what I think the
I hate that
Crysis
idea.
CEO actually said.
So awful.
I mean, obviously, no one wants that. Sometimes you just want to sit down and play a game by yourself, and that's what
God.
That's
some.
the majority of the game.
And so-
The majority of multiplayer to me is just a bonus. I never play it. I'm more
Yeah.
the single player
It's like
side.
an added bonus. It's not.
Something you do for fun to distract you from the
You know what
story
I
once
really
in a while.
miss? I love co-op, one-screen co-op game where you just sit down with a friend and you both have
Yeah.
control. Like, I want to play
Yeah,
this with
split screen
you.
co-op.
And
Let's
then,
do it.
Yeah, co-op games are somewhat of a rarity these days. Like
I was
full legit
just-
co-op.
I
Halo
was,
4 had co-op though.
I
I think
was-
it's the most recent biggest game that had single screen co-op.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
one of the reasons I
maybe,
always.
Did Borderlands 2 have
Yeah, oh yeah, Borderlands 2
2
had
has-
that was
Borderlands
the
didn't
entire
have-
game
it
was
didn't have
structured
split
around
screen
co-op.
co-op.
No,
though.
like two-screen co-op.
No, it didn't have split screen
What
co-op.
is two-screen co-op?
Oh, like split one screen.
Split screen
Oh,
co-op.
you
Not on
split
PC,
screen.
but I'm pretty sure the Xbox had
Yeah.
a.
Well, even on,
No,
even
the
on the
Xbox-
PC, a lot of I think it actually did have a local on the PC as well.
Yeah, but it didn't have the split screen on the PS. Well, as far as I know about the PS3 version for Borderlands, it didn't have split screen co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying with a friend of mine over Easter break, and he had an Xbox. So we were looking for some games we could play over break, and honestly, we were only going back to those old school titles. I mean, old school. I mean, why I'm using this word, but like Left 4 Dead, Army of
Yeah.
Two.
Oh, hell yeah.
Those are the games that you play co-op. There is nothing like that nowadays. I mean, Halo 4 has a co-op, and I'm pretty sure Gears of War does.
Aliens.
But they're terrible at split screen, and they're made for live play.
Yeah.
When you think about Borderlands, works pretty well in split screen, and because it's more like a casual gameplay. You shoot a lot basically.
Yeah,
in that
just
game.
go shoot things.
And Left 4 Dead, I mean, you don't have to use a lot of strategy. It's just kill zombies.
once again, go shoot things.
And I'm pretty sure modern games, especially Gears of War, it's a lot about bigger fields. A third-person shooter, it's a little bit harder to put into a split-screen version, and they just don't do that anymore because they want to encourage people to play on two different consoles, which requires two different life accounts and gives them more money.
One of the reasons for that, I could actually give a little bit of light on that, is because our consoles they're getting old. And you might notice originally a lot of Xbox games, multiplayer on the same console. As time goes on, the developers had to do little hits and tricks, and the problem with two players means they have to render everything twice. They have to have two different cameras that are rendering everything on screen, so it's basically doubling the amount of power that the machine needs, which is why you see a lot of games require you to play online with someone else, because that means you have two machines.
Well, but
I guess, but
if that's obviously that makes a lot of sense and explains a lot. But when we see those specializations and the preferences of the new consoles coming out, you would think that they should be able to put some type of co-op games. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
the
we're
PS4
obviously
is really pushing co-op.
I mean,
good.
What we're here not mentioning is co-op doesn't always mean split screen. I mean, do you guys
Yeah.
played the newest Ratchet and Clank that came out?
I wish. I love
It
Ratchet
was a
and
co-op
Clank.
game, and it was on one screen. I mean, the newest Rayman. What's it called?
so it's
Rayman
like
Origins.
Rayman
It's
Origins?
on one
Yeah.
screen. That's the type of games we're looking for. And I mean, obviously, Rayman and the newest Ratchet and Clank were more of a casual game style.
Yeah.
But
You
those
see a
type
lot
of
more
games,
casual co-op
a
games.
little bit
Yeah.
more into it. That would be really cool.
Like Nintendo, anything made by them.
I don't know if any of you guys have ever played this game, but Champions of Norath, I might have mentioned that before. It's a PlayStation 2 game. It was one of the earliest ones. And what they allowed you to do, it was you could have up to 4 friends on one screen, and you had to be all in the same area on the screen, like obviously. But that's what we're talking about, right? Like it's everyone on one
lo-
screen, and you
local.
just like
You're talking about local co-op then.
Yeah.
yeah.
local co-op. That
pretty
is what
much.
we're talking about. Local co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because generally, if I'm playing an online co-op, I hate it when I have to be restricted by, like, we can't go into separate places. I honestly hate that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. But I think what we're talking about is more games like, the Lego series. They do actually really good
Oh,
job
yeah.
with the game.
Yeah.
they do.
I mean, that's the type of game that you don't want to play online. You want to sit on your couch with your buddy right next to you, you eat some chips, and you play Lego, right?
Yeah,
It's a casual
kind of like
gameplay.
some games are just a lot better when you're actually there with a person. Like I couldn't
Exactly.
imagine playing Mario Party online.
Exactly.
oh no.
The whole point of Mario Party is to get mad at your friends.
Exactly.
Exactly, and if you can mute someone online, what's the point of being mad at them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically a big point. That we kind of got to see what the companies are going to go with that. I mean, yeah,
PS4
there's pros and cons for both sides. I mean, obviously we're talking about the double rendering, which makes performance issues.
But when looking at some of the technology that's coming up, especially all we've seen so far really is the PS4 and the Wii U, and we're hearing bad things about the Wii U in terms of its power, but hopefully Nintendo's never really been about that, so I'm not too concerned with that.
Nintendo has been a gameplay company. They don't really care about the graphics at all.
They've never really been. I mean, the GameCube, they tried it. Technically, the GameCube was the most powerful console of that generation. It's just that it was so unpopular, no one really fully unlocked it. I mean, we saw Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube.
That was a great game, actually.
It was very nice looking for that generation.
I did buy Resident Evil 4 when I came to America for the GameCube because I had no video game console whatsoever. My computer sucked. So I bought a GameCube on a flea market for $10, and I bought Resident Evil, which was actually more expensive than the actual GameCube.
That was actually the original console it came out of. It was originally an exclusive for the GameCube. Nintendo wanted to get into that market.
Yeah, I played it, Resident Evil 4. I played it before, and I played it on the PC, and I actually did not know for a long time that it was a GameCube title, because on the PC it looked really nice.
And it looks almost just as nice on, obviously it's a lower resolution, but it looked really, really good on the GameCube. That's one thing about the GameCube that everyone seems to forget, is that it was the most technically powerful console at the time.
Right, it just never got utilized.
Yeah, because the Xbox really took off because that was about the time when Xbox started coming out with their Halo series, which is what put them on the map.
PlayStation was going off of the PlayStation 1 too with the PS2.
Yeah.
So everyone jumped ship onto that.
PS2, that was definitely
the king of this generation.
The king of its generation. That thing lived long into the cycle of... That thing lived years after the PS3 came out.
I remember one of the final games that came out for the PS2 was...
Persona 4.
And Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah, I mean, they kept making games for that console several years after the PlayStation 3 came out.
I actually
Did they stop, or are they still making them?
No, they officially stopped.
I think either it was the PlayStation 2, it might have been the Xbox original, but I think it was the first game console that also had the entertainment system to it. Like, it was not only meant for games, but you could also...
that would be the... What's the PS2? Because I know the PS2 had a DVD player.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it would actually solve two purposes, which would be a good reason for people to actually invest in one. Because
exactly.
If you just move into a house and you have a family and you don't have to buy...
That's always been something Sony's done. Like, if you look at their current console and their new one, it seems like they're adding more and more. They're trying to integrate your Blu-ray player, your media box, your media server. They're trying to put it all in this.
It's very easy to hook up your PC and put data on it. Well, I mean, I do remember the Xbox 360 when it first came out, it was a gaming console. Yeah. And the PlayStation always was an entertainment system. Yeah. And that's,
that's one of the reasons that I still have a PS3 hooked up, but not any other console, because I can use it for other things.
I remember my parents still have my old PS2 hooked up just because it's also a DVD player.
Yep, my mom actually hooked up my PS3 to the family room TV, and she won't play video games on it, but she'll know how to get onto Netflix and use the Blu-ray player and all that.
Look at back when the PS3 just came out. That was when Blu-ray was just really starting. Yeah. And if you wanted to buy a Blu-ray player, you might as well buy a PS3 because it was only like $50 more.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they had a really good strategy when it came to that.
Yeah. All right. So has everyone got any other topics? I mean, we talked about a lot today and got a lot of stuff done. So we're about, I think, 47 minutes in here. And I think we should start. We have a pretty big group here. We have 6 people here, which is bigger than the norm.
Yeah.
I mean, I missed a couple of episodes. So yeah, there's that. Sorry, guys.
So okay. You're not the only one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Everyone's missed it.
So I guess we should start
on the microphone.
Our last topic for the day is like we talk about games that we played recently, and I know I've been burning to talk about BioShock. How about you try it without spoiler alerts?
Oh no, I wouldn't spoil a thing. It's one of those games that I really think everyone should at least try. You know, wait for it to go on sale if you're really just not that into the genre. Because I don't like shooters that much because I suck horribly at them. But it's a very, very good game in terms of its storytelling and how it integrates gameplay into story. It never really takes you out of that moment that you're living in because of the immersion of the whole world that you're in. If you look at the city of Columbia, which obviously is this giant city in the sky, it brings you back to that feeling that you had the first time you went into Rapture, of just being awed and amazed at this entire city laid out, and the culture still maintaining the identity of it, the time period it did in the real life. The game is set in 1912, and you can definitely see that. They talk about George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, and they talk about Benjamin Franklin, and there's a lot of racism going on. I mean, the game, that's been a big debate lately, is the game racist? but the general consensus is a game can have racism in it without being racist, because they handle it in a mature way.
Right, Chris, how about you? You're here for the first time in our podcast. What we do is basically, what's a game that you played recently or finished, and you would just like to tell people about it?
The game I most recently play is the new Slender: The Arrival, and yes, it has a nice little storyline. I'm not going to put any spoilers or anything, except the one thing I am going to say play this if you live in the South Dakota area or even in the central area. Play this at 1 o'clock in the freaking morning. It is way better. Headphones all the way up, and
It's the only way to play a horror game.
Oh yeah, true. And also, and the graphics look absolutely better than what Mike Parsec had in the 8 pages version. And trust me, and it's also another rage quit game. I broke my controller once with it.
Wow.
Yeah, it ticked me off in the second level. There's a reason why it ticked me off in the second level, and I'm not going to say a damn word about it.
I've really been a fan of that game.
It's more for me. It's more of a party thing. I remember when I came here to DSU and the Slender just was getting a thing. I was sitting with my roommate and a couple of guys, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and you don't know all the people in your floor yet, and you don't close the door. That's what all the people did. They didn't close their door, so they would create a better community type of thing. You can just walk by. It's hey, what a surprise! A freshman who has an Xbox, and you could go and talk about games. That's how you met people back then.
Yeah.
And we were playing Slender with an open door, 2 o'clock in the morning, Monday night. At second floor, and we were just 5 guys in a dark room playing this, and it was fun. I remember this. It was more of a party game. I don't really see a reason for me to sit down in my own free time and get scared the shit out. I don't really.
I guess I have a very bad opinion of this game. I think it's trash that just blew up. I honestly think it's shit. Some guy made it in 5 minutes.
Get into the shit story.
And I never beat the game yet. The whole point of it was that it has a story.
Yeah,
that's the best part of most games, is that it has a story.
The new one has a story.
Yeah.
Whereas the original Slender had 8 pages.
Yeah, it
was more about the atmosphere,
Yeah, that's all it was, though. It was an atmosphere. It was just some guy
made
a little student project, and it blew up because a bunch of people made a bunch of stupid scare cam videos.
Well, that's all it's
Harlem Shake.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Who remembers that? Good old times, right?
I remember doing something horrible with your bear.
Right.
All right.
Still hurts.
So, Mustafa, what's a game that you played recently?
The Walking Dead, as I said, the Telltale adaptation.
Telltale one.
Yeah, I'm on the final episode right now, and I'm honestly...
No spoilers.
I honestly can say this is the one game that has literally, brought tears to my eyes.
Wow.
In a while. The last game that was Final Fantasy X.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Kingdom Hearts.
Bioshock Infinite's kind of like that kind of game. I wanted to.
I wanted to buy Bioshock, but every single Xbox 360 copy of Bioshock is sold out here in Madison.
Wow. I'm not into consoles. PC.
Even the PC, even the PC versions are sold out. But there are tons of PS3 versions out there.
I honestly keep forgetting that games can get sold out. When he said that they were sold out, my first thought is that's impossible. You just download it.
Yeah, I just realized that because obviously I forget by that. Now it's 100%. I was gonna say 99, but it's pretty much 100%. All of my games over Steam.
Yeah,
no exception.
The only time I ever get it on anything else is when that's where the only place it's available, like Little Big Planet or Journey.
Yeah. And it's not getting sold out. Sometimes when it's really overloaded on Steam, they kind of have a 2-day delay until they activate your key. But that was weird right there. I guess we're gonna continue in the circle. One game that I played recently is Dirt 3. Which is something...
an older title now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's... I was done with the major games that I played. I finished the games that I wanted to finish, and I saw Dirt 3 on sale, and I never really played, a racing game. Obviously arcade games, and I played Forza 2, I think, a while back on the Xbox.
None of the, you're not really into the hyper-realistic,
Not really, and what I heard about Dirt 3 when I looked at the reviews is it's kind of a hybrid. it's a really arcade-ish racing game, but if you actually turn up the difficulty, and you would have the wheel controller for the Xbox or the PC, it is a really good simulator too. I mean, it's not,
really
getting
Yeah.
into, every single, wheel.
The physics
and
of each
air
wheel
pressure.
is individual.
But it has a really good gameplay to it, and I like it a lot. I play with my Xbox controller, and I'm honestly surprised how much I like that game. I hated it at first, but now I actually do enjoy it.
My goal, I prefer arcadey racing games because if it's a realistic one, I just have too much fun wrecking the car and seeing the realistic wreckage of the car.
Oh yeah,
So,
definitely.
if a racing game doesn't have in some sort of way your car showing damage on it, I just find that a big turn off. If I hit a wall at 50 miles an hour, I want my car to show that I hit a wall at 50 miles an hour.
One game that I also want to mention is Titan Quest. Holy crap!
Oh my
That's a
goodness,
really good game.
I remember
Double
that
Fine,
one.
right?
Not sure. Titan
No,
Quest,
no, it's not Double Fine.
THQ,
I'm thinking of
THQ.
Costume Quest.
Yes, Titan
THQ.
Quest was available in the Humble Bundle a while ago, and
Oh,
I
the
just
T- yeah,
started recently. I
THQ
think it's
bundle.
pretty old by now. It came out 2006.
Yeah.
It's a really good game.
It's a really good game.
Honestly, honest to God, hands down, I like this game way more than Diablo 3, Torchlight
High five.
together. This game, it looks really old. Like the interface is really, Diablo 2
Archaic,
style,
yeah.
way earlier than
But
that.
it just fits the style.
Yeah,
Fits the
exactly,
style so
and
perfectly.
it's exactly what I want in a dungeon crawler. It's a simple gameplay. It has a simple skill tree system. It's a simple, point and click adventure. It's you don't lose the overview. That's awesome. I mean, in Torchlight 2, I'm not even halfway through the story yet. I'm about level 40, and right now I cannot enjoy the game anymore because when I play it, I just spam everything. Once in a while, I use my dash, but that's the only strategic planning I have in that game.
Yeah.
Anything else is just, using your heal potion at the right time, basically.
Yeah, that's they recently opened modding support up to that, so
Yes,
I'm really
I saw
hoping
that.
that the modding community is going to start making that game more difficult. Because that was my number one flaw with it. Is like, as long as I have a potion, I can't die. So
And pretty much what Titan Quest does really well is the customization of the skill set. You can literally, it's kind of like MMOs have. You start off with one skill tree, and then you can add a second, ability, like
Yes.
a job thing
Okay,
to
yeah.
it. So I started out my first character as an assassination type of person, and it was just great. Like each class plays so differently, and it's so surprising because there's I think 8 or maybe even 10 different skill trees that you can go into. It could be a tank, it could be a nature person, or stealth person, assassination, whatever. And they have a
Even a
really good
necromancer.
gameplay, and also this game has a great multiplayer. So I feel this game is really underrated, and if you have access to it, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth it. It looks weird, but if you get to level 5, definitely check out this game.
Exactly. It's a really good game.
All right, how about you, Chris?
Well, I have quote unquote unfortunately gotten back into Skyrim.
I can confess to that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about it that's different this time though is I brought my Kinect back up with me after spring break. It is so much better using the voice commands. Like
Yeah,
just
I'll
shouting Fusroda at
See,
the freaking TV.
we PC Master Race guys are spoiled because we have hotkeys.
No. PC Master Race, I'm gonna say no anyway.
No.
But it's just so much more efficient to be able to use your shouts because you don't have to even switch between shouts anymore. You can just say the shout
Yeah.
you want and you can do that. And
Yeah, that's actually really fun, but at the same time, I don't do it because I feel like an idiot sitting there in my room. Fusroda!
Dude, that's so awesome. You just stand there and be Fusroda, and
Exactly.
you see people flying off like.
And
how
then your
cool.
roommate's like, "What are you doing?"
It's 4 a.m.
Imagine if Call of Duty would have that have a voice activation, like you couldn't be mad at your computer TV anymore. Because you know how people always like rage. at
I
Call
believe,
of
I think
Duty?
it was Splinter Cell Chaos Theory that did that. If your voice got too loud, it would actually make noise in the game, and the enemies could hear you. So if you started getting mad at your partner, the enemies would actually come over and be like, "What are you doing over here?"
That's something that I actually would like to see because in a lot of stealth games, it pisses me off when you're like in a first-person type, like especially Skyrim, when you walk slowly around the corner and you use the detect life spell and you see there's someone around the corner and you get out your dagger and you slowly walk and you take out your dagger and it's like and it's like a gigantic sound of like drawing your dagger out. Like
Actually, in
metal.
Skyrim,
And you-
having a weapon increases the sound you make.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, but after a certain point,
It doesn't
Stealth in
matter.
Skyrim is really broken
Yeah.
in that you could be standing directly in front of someone, but as long as you're crouched down, no one knows how to look down, so you'll be fine.
Also, if you have the Shadow Mastery, Shadow Warrior Mastery, you're crouching down in front of someone, stand up, they see you, they're gonna attack, crouch back down again, you're invisible.
There's there's a ton of mods to fix that, but in vanilla Skyrim, it is so broken that you can actually. I remember I played a pure thief character, and I literally had guys chasing behind me. I ducked, walked around a corner, they came down, looked at me, and literally were touching me as they said, I guess it was just my imagination, and walked away. Yeah, sure it was. That guy that you and your friend were both chasing, I'm sure he wasn't real. You were both just insane.
They are both insane.
But something else that I've done recently is I actually downloaded The Old Republic just this last week. I haven't got a chance to play it yet. The Star Wars
game that's
MMO.
dying.
The MMO, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and I got some bad news for that. LucasArts
Died.
just
Yep. Oh, that's right. We never. Why haven't we discussed that? LucasArts is dead.
Yeah, LucasArts is
Keep it
dead.
for the next show, guys.
So-
Keep it for the next show.
Well, no. Let's.
We can talk about it.
We can talk about it a little bit. We're only at. We're not even at an hour yet. We can talk about that a little
A
bit.
minute of silence.
No,
for
let's not do
LucasArts.
that. Let's first ask the question: who cares?
Actually, I
cares.
give a
yeah.
I
prediction.
care.
If any of you guys hit my Facebook wall, LucasArts is working on 2 big projects.
Yes, that's
Battlefield
right.
3 and Star Wars
and
13.
Star Wars
That's-
something Assault-ish. I'm not quite
First
sure.
Assault,
First
13, and
Battlefront 3.
And they actually already had gameplay videos, and it looked fucking amazing.
And then they axed it.
I'm really hoping that someone picks those up, though.
Honestly, I am too, because those games look like Call of Duty in Star Wars, but it was
that sounds
good.
terrible.
That sounds
sounds terrible. That sounds freaking amazing.
It's
Call of Duty.
I wish there was a new Star
You
Wars
should say FPS
Battlefront.
and Star Wars, not Call
Star
of
Wars
Duty.
Battlefront is the
Please,
only
please,
thing
please,
made by LucasArts that I was really into.
I also like
so.
Star Wars Bounty Hunter. If you ever remember that,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like you played the original Jango Fett and you went to each place. And it was a little bit of an open world environment. And you find
Yeah.
random
But I mean,
people.
Wasn't that very
We're not-
good, though?
But we're not talking about the end of Star Wars games here. They're still LucasArts still exists
The
as a
title.
licensing company, which is basically all they were before. They hardly ever really made a video game.
They haven't made a game
They
in
only
3
made
years,
one.
so-
I'm not entirely sure. They
only made one every few years.
They actually made a lot of smaller games, especially when they came out with the Star Wars, the Clone Wars cartoon series.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of video games. I mean, especially for the Kinect, there was some mini type-ish games. There was a lightsaber game that I actually picked
Well, I
up.
hated
Once
the
again,
Clone
those weren't
Wars,
made
so-
by LucasArts. Those were licensed by LucasArts,
Well,
which
yeah,
is what they're going to be doing now. Is nothing but licensing.
Yeah.
but those games that I was mentioning before actually were produced by those companies, as far as I know.
If you're talking about Star Wars Connect, that was
No,
made
no,
by a
I'm
different
talking
company.
about those games we just mentioned. The
The
First
last
Assault.
AAA
Oh,
title
First
that
Assault.
Lucas...
Yeah, those were ones made by LucasArts. But overall, over the past 10 years, they've only made, I think, like 3 or 4 games.
Well, the last
well,
big
yeah.
AAA game LucasArts made legitimately is The Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed 2. And
Which
it
came out
wasn't
3 years
that
ago.
big of success. I mean, their first one was...
First one was a success. Second one was
Yeah.
meh.
If we can think back to the games that LucasArts has actually made themselves, that was really good. We can
Battlefront,
name a few of them.
Battlefront 2.
The
Battlefront
Battlefront
2.
series.
Yeah.
I believe
Republic
Pod
Command-
Racers, the N64
Oh, yeah.
game, was
A
made
Knights
by them.
Republic Commando.
Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
Rogue
Knights of the
Squadron.
Old
X
Republic.
was X-Wing?
I think so.
Knights of the Old Republic was BioWare, wasn't
Yep,
it?
that
It was
was
licensed
BioWare.
by...
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
BioWare.
It was BioWare.
So, I
I
mean,
hope
when you think of a
BioWare
lot of the
picks
big
up.
ones, like you were saying, Knights of the Old Republic, that wasn't actually made by
It
them.
was made by BioWare.
Yeah.
That's an interesting fact to know. I mean, definitely, yeah.
So it's not as big of loss as people are making it out to be, but losing those 3 games right there, especially that Battlefront
I
one,
mean,
was
people
really
did lose
looking-
their job. I mean, there
Yes,
was people working.
there was. I
on it,
think
so.
they said there was 40 people laid off. So
Yeah.
from what
60.
60? Because
60?
from last I heard that there was
According to
only
Kotaku, yes, it was 60.
Dang.
that's Kotaku. For last I heard, they only had 10 members left on the team, and they were just there as a consultant for the other companies that needed to get the license.
Well, Saints Row 4 survived the utter death of THQ, so here's hoping... At least LucasArts is still around in some form, so here's
Yeah. I
hoping
mean, yeah, I
the
really-
titles will
exactly.
Well, yeah,
have...
it's Disney. If you look at what Disney does, they use all their licenses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they use
They
it.
they legitimately, they'll go. You know, Disney is a very good when it comes to business. They will look at a product and say, you know what, people will buy this, so let's make it, kind of thing.
And they make it semi-professional.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen a Disney game fail majorly in a while.
Right.
Well, obviously,
Disney-
you
say
only
what you
have
wanna-
those small games adaptation from.
Say what you want
movies.
about
Not
Disney, they
entirely.
generally make good quality products.
They know their shit.
Yeah, I mean, they own. Look at the stuff they own, like Pixar.
Marvel.
What's
Oh,
that? They have it out there somewhere that Disney owns. I think like 10% of the businesses in the world or something like that.
I
That
actually
doesn't surprise me.
heard in my speech classes, some guy was talking about anime, or is going to talk about anime in his final speech, and he actually told us that the Lion King was a ripoff.
It's a
from
ripoff of Kimba the White Lion.
Exactly, which is an anime back in the 19...
In
Well,
19,
most of the
early
big Disney
1950s,
movies are
50s.
just ripoffs
Ripoffs.
of some sort of story, and then they
Yeah.
make
Oh, yeah.
it
They make
more
it-
happy.
They make a lot of those grim fairy tales.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
Snow
more
White,
happy.
Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah,
Yep.
a lot of those started out as really dark, and I think even Beauty and the Beast, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast, yeah.
Yeah, they
And
started out
then-
as really dark stories, and that they just made a little bit of a lighthearted.
Exactly.
No, they start even worse. They originally were like adult stuff. So in Sleeping Beauty, it was actually the guy who was having sex with the girl to wake her up. Yeah.
She's
I wanna see
sleeping. How
that-
am I going to get her up? Well, then.
I want to see that.
What
version.
usually gets women up?
Same thing that gets men up.
But yeah, the guys that made this grim story tales, they actually went around, they gathered up all these stories, and they're like, okay, well, these are a little bit more adult, and we want to sell them to kids, so let's make them a little nicer.
Yeah.
But nowadays, they're still not nice enough, so Disney comes around like, okay, let's make them even nicer. And
I'm
now they're
su-
cartoon, and they're all happy-go-lucky.
I'm sure, like, sometime in the future, another civilization will come up and make the Disney stuff even nicer. And then they'll all have diabetes from watching it.
They're actually...
Because it's so sweet.
It's actually
Yeah.
like the opposite of The Hobbit, because the
I
Hobbit... The Hobbit was a child book, and they turned it into the movie, and now they're making it a little bit more actiony, a little bit more adult.
Yeah, because
Disney-
their target audience is the
I mean,
same audience
Disney
for Lord of the
isn't
Rings.
all kids things, contrary to popular belief. I mean, they are the ones who did the Avengers. I believe they held the license to
Yeah.
that.
well,
Because-
the Avengers was pretty much aimed...
That
Well,
was
it was-
teenagers, I
it was
bet.
aimed
It was
towards
teenage
teenagers,
because of
but it wasn't
But it
aimed
was
towards
Black Widow's
child-friendly.
ass.
It was
Yeah.
it was child friendly. I'll give you that.
But
yeah.
then it had Black Widow's ass, so...
Yeah, but then again, I mean, come on. If you look at those super hot princesses on the Disney movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those
Jasmine.
I mean, Ariel, come on. I mean, I'm just gonna put this
Ariel.
out here. That's
Oh yeah.
Oh, I want to pull those fish legs apart.
That poor.
okay.
That,
Weren't you the guys telling me that this was supposed to be as clean as possible?
Yeah,
we
no,
were.
that-
No,
that-
we never said. We said that around our guests, so
Around
that
our
they didn't
guests.
know about.
Yeah,
this.
when we had the college professor here, that's what we were nice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
it's-
don't
Alright,
don't want to
now
know what
let's,
happens on Aladdin's magic carpet. It's that poor little guy.
all right, so let's go back to you, Chris. So you installed Star Wars: The Old Republic, and
Yep.
you did not get to play it yet.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to, but
I think we already talked about this in one of our
Yeah.
previous episodes.
it's a sad state of affairs with that game.
I did play it just recently.
I played it a
Really?
couple months.
Honestly, here's my opinion. People expect it too much. That's why it's shitty.
Oh,
It
yeah.
actually is a very, very good MMO, and it has
if
a
you
very
like
good
WoW
storyline.
clones, it's a good MMO.
Well,
I think that
it's not like World of Warcraft at
What's
all. in my
cinematic?
opinion.
it is. It really, really is.
I have played World of Warcraft. It is the gameplay is very different from it.
The combat's almost the exact same.
Is it really?
Yeah, if you look at, well, for one, look at an example. Obviously, I'm just going to use Guild Wars 2 because that's the one I have playing
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah, of course.
You run around, you hit the button to attack, your guy swings a sword. Doesn't matter if there's something in front of you or not. If there is, it gets hit if it's in the way of the sword. Whereas
You're right
in
about that.
the Old Republic, I actually went back to play it recently, just last month, and I had forgotten all those things. Like, I went around trying to shoot my laser, and I realized I can't because I have to target something, and it doesn't matter if he moves out of the way of that laser I fired, the laser's going to home in on him because the game says so.
Well, that's one thing I did not like about the Old Republic is the Jedi and the Sith battles are really cool, but the the smuggler
Yeah.
and the troopers.
I played
When
a
you
bounty
when you
hunter.
aim at someone, like you select a target and you press a skill for shooting, you can see the life bar of the enemy being deducted before your shot actually.
That's
hits the
actually
enemy.
due to the engine it was made
Yeah,
with.
you know what? I think we talked about exactly
we
that.
did
Yeah,
talk
we
about
did.
So
that.
let's keep going
Yeah.
here.
Let's
I
keep
mean,
going. Read.
Right, Reed. What about you?
All right. You know how Steam has recently allowed early access to video games?
Yes.
Well, me and my little brother, we picked up a game called Kenshi. It's a really awesome early access game. It's in like version 0.4 or something like that. And it's a open world strategy squad based RPG. and you get a squad. It doesn't follow a certain person. Okay, so no one is overpowered. Everyone's about the exact same level as long at the very start, and it's all about the group of people that you control. It's not about a single person. And you basically have this one person, and the world doesn't scale to your level. So you go out the first time, you have one person, you're going to get this slaughtered by bandits. The very first time I played, I was in the character creation menu, and my character wasn't done yet, but a squad of bandits ran across me and my fellow guy, because I started out with 2 people. And I literally died while in the player creation. Seriously. And the second time I played it, I got in. I had to run away as fast as I possibly could because I knew I was going to die. Yeah. And I ran into a town, and the town guard came out, and they almost got slaughtered by the bandits that were chasing me.
Wow.
Nice.
That's interesting.
And then, like 30 minutes later, I got a group of 3 guys. We led bandits into the town so the guards slaughtered them. And then we joined in on the fight so we could get the experience. And we looted them. And then you do that for a few hours, and finally you can take a group of 5 or 6 guys out, and you can actually slaughter bands of bandits on your own. And then one of the best features about the game is that you can go out into the middle of the world, and you can start your own town. And then the town attracts traders. You do your own trade, and then as soon as you get a big enough group, you attack the towns that you were in before. And there's like 10 to 20 factions in the entire game, and each one owns at least one town, and they send out groups of people to kill bandits on their own. But you find the groups, you kill them off, and then you go into the town, and then you slaughter everyone, and then you take their stuff. It's kind of fun.
Just a little bit.
I'm liking that Steam's actually providing a legitimate means of basically... Steam's often used just like a marketing tool. If your game's on Steam, people will notice it. Oh, yeah. So when you have a beta out there and you really want people to get to notice it, it's nice now that they have a place to put that on Steam so that people will just, go through the list and see it.
I mean, we already mentioned the green light thing in a previous episode. It's kind of working together with that.
Yeah. Because now we're seeing people are becoming more and more involved in these betas because companies are realizing that a beta is a great way to have cheap marketing. And way to have cheap QA testers that they don't have to pay. In fact, you pay them usually for the privilege of testing that game before release. And consumers love it. There's no downside, really. This is a win-win system for developers, publishers, and for the consumer.
Oh, yeah. Like, this game I'm playing is made by one person in his basement.
Yeah, and I'm sure that person loves hearing from thousands of people.
Oh, he does. Yeah. He actually he goes onto the forums every single day. He looks at the problems. He helps give people suggestions. He even looks at the requested features, and he confirms which one he's going to add into the game and which ones he isn't.
See, that kind of interaction is something we couldn't see without, the kind of modern back and forth we have today between developers and the consumer.
EA.
Yeah, well, with AAAs, you kind of got to forgive them a little bit when it comes to that. They just have too big of a development team.
Yeah. Well, I think this is about it for today's show.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of stuff. We talked about, the game design workshop here. We talked, a lot of topics here with the movie adaptations. And yeah, all right. So that was a good episode today, I feel like. Let's hope the next one can live up to those expectations now.
Let's hope we're all here for the next one. Everyone.
Even, yeah, that's obviously a big factor. But I actually like that we have a special guest, and we might try that again in the future. Obviously, if we have an event going on, we'll try to participate in that, just like today. But we will try to get special guests. I mean, obviously, we're in a campus that is very tech-heavy, and the game design is a really big deal here. So, Jeff Howard, obviously, one of the better-known professors that is teaching some of those classes, but we have also... Professor Graham, who's also teaching that. I'm taking the game 101
and then there's Professor Berman.
Yep,
exactly. Yeah, he's also very involved in campus activities.
He has awesome professors.
And so we will try to get more special guests. Obviously, it could also be a senior or an upperclassman who are working on their senior project. I'm pretty sure they'd be really happy to promote their game. We already heard about Cody Potts, who is obviously the program genius that was helping his workshop. He's working on Fury Void, which is one of the games that the upperclassmen are making, and is one of the more, I think, close to being done games, I guess. They released their alpha on Facebook. We can talk about that if they decide to join for episodes.
Yeah. So, Holland,
yeah, so we're about done now. So thank you guys for listening, and hope to see you next time at the BlinkCast Podcast.
Signing out.
See ya.